Hello, and thank you for joining me again today. I'm bringing you a story out of Polk County, Florida. It is about three men who went fishing and met a very tragic end. On Friday, July 17th, just a few days ago, three men, 23-year-old Damian Tillman, 30-year-old Kevin Springfield, and 27-year-old Brandon Rollins had decided to go fishing. They went to a lake in the Central Florida community of Frostproof. Kevin was driving his white pickup truck and had Brandon in his vehicle as his passenger. Damian was on his way to meet them, but first he decided to stop at the local Dollar General store. While he was at the store, he started talking to the clerk, and he was telling him that he was going to go meet up with Kevin and Brandon. Now, in such a small rural town as Frostproof, which is located at the very south end of Polk County, everyone knows everyone. And if they don't know you, they know about you, or they know about your family. It's just a very sparsely populated community, but at the same time, everyone knows you. So it was, just one of those things. He goes in and he starts talking to the clerk. They're having a conversation about, they're going fishing. And at some point, Damian and the person that was behind him in line start talking. Now, there is video surveillance on the events that happened in the store that evening. So we know that the conversation between these two men was civil. It was, just a normal conversation. There was no fighting, there was no arguments, no yelling, nothing like that. Well, it turns out that the man that was behind him at the store was 26-year-old Tony Wiggins. Behind Tony, in line, was his brother, Robert Wiggins. And somewhere about in the store was his girlfriend, Mary Whitmore. Now, no one knows what the conversation was about when they were in the store. However, when Damian left, Tony, or TJ as his friends and family call him, left the store along with his brother and his girlfriend. As they were driving off, it is reported that TJ told Robert to make a U-turn and go down the same road where Damian had just driven. At this point, Damian, Brandon, and Kevin have already met up. They're parked in the middle of the road. Their driver's side doors are across from one another, and they're just talking. Robert, TJ, and Mary pull up behind the white truck where Kevin is the driver. Brandon is the passenger. So he gets out of the truck, TJ gets out of the truck, and at the same time, Brandon gets out of the white truck and shines a light, turns around and shines a light to see who's behind them. TJ rushes up on Brandon. He pushes him against the truck. And he demands to know where Kevin is. So Brandon tells him he's right here. He's driving. So at this point, TJ runs around the trunk and gets in between both vehicles and starts yelling at Kevin, "Where's my truck?" Kevin is said to have responded with, "I don't know what you're talking about." So TJ again says, "Where's my truck? You sold the engine out of my truck." And again, Kevin responds with, hey man, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. TJ then punches Kevin in the face and pulls out a gun. Damien, who's sitting in the red truck opposite from Kevin in a very close proximity. I mean, they're just one person away from each other, the width of a person away from each other. So he steps out of his truck and TJ starts firing into the white truck, hitting Kevin and Brandon both. It is said that he shot between 9 and 10 rounds into the vehicle. Then he turns around and starts shooting at Damien and killing him. In his excitement, in the moment where his adrenaline is pumping, he fumbles around and he drops the magazine to his weapon. So he opens the door to Kevin's truck and Kevin's body just falls out and lands on the ground. He points the gun back and he motions for his brother Robert to join him. He tells him, hey, come here. Now, Robert insists that he never got out of the truck up until that point. And that when he went to get out of the truck, by that time, everything was done and over. Everybody had been shot. TJ had already killed them. So they grabbed Damien's body and they threw it in the back of one of the trucks. It wasn't said which truck it was, but it is speculated that the truck that Damien's body was thrown into was the truck that Robert was driving. It is said that they threw him in the back of the truck and his foot was resting on the truck bed, on the top of the truck bed. So they drove his body to an undisclosed location. They took the weapon apart and they threw it away. It's not specific. They didn't specify where they threw it. I mean, you got to remember, they're still not really cooperating with authorities. They're not going into details. So they leave, and the only thing that they can all agree on is after they leave the location of the murders, they go down to McDonald's and they order themselves up, 10 double cheeseburgers and 2 chicken sandwiches. Like, what kind of person do you have to be to think about food and eating after you've killed 3 people or even witnessed the killing of 3 people, cold blood? What kind of demented fucking animal do you have to be? Now, I want to point out that it was said that TJ Wiggins has 230 felony charges on his record. He's only 26 years old. What the fuck? Like, seriously, what is this fucking being doing outside of prison? This is a being. This is not a person. This is an animal that deserves to be put away. 26 years old, 230 felonies. Are you fucking kidding me? How? Where is the justice in the system? This guy, let me tell you, what a piece of shit he is. He's a big piece of shit. A lot of work. Hold on. So he's got, he started his arrest record at the age of 12. He's 26, okay? 230 felony criminal charges, 15 convictions, and has been to prison twice. Only twice. I am so amazed that it's only been twice. He's described as a thug, a criminal, pure evil in the flesh. He's wild and he's out of control. How? I just want to know how it is possible to have 230 felony convictions on your record and you're still free. If authorities had done their job or even gave a shit, these 3 men would still be alive. Think about that. Keep that in your head. These 3 men would still be alive if somebody at some point had said, hey, you fucking piece of shit, you belong in prison. If you or I had, even 1 felony on our record, we'd probably be looking at 20 to 30 years. Let me just tell you what kind of person exactly this TJ Wiggins is, okay? He's mean, he's violent, and currently on bond for breaking a guy's arm with a crowbar during a fight. He was at the moment he was waiting to go back to court to face other felony charges on top of the 230 he's already got on his record. He's described as the type of guy who would just walk up to you and punch you for no reason that you would know the cause of, but a reason to him. He has a long history of, things from burglary to theft to aggravated battery on law enforcement officers, resisting arrest, battery on senior citizens, and, well, of course now, murder. I cannot wrap my head around that. I cannot. I mean, I've personally known people who have been accused of doing things that are not even close to any of this bullshit. And, they're looking at years in prison. This just blows my mind. It's ridiculous. So when they leave to go do what they were doing, dispose of the body, dispose of the gun, why they would take Damien is beyond me. I don't believe that his body has been recovered yet. Nothing was said about that. But why Damien? I mean, the whole reason they were there was because TJ had beef with Kevin over some truck that he supposedly sold, way back. It wasn't even something recent. So why Damien? Why would they take his body? Like a souvenir? That's a hell of a souvenir, When you read about other murderers, they take, I don't know, a guy's ring or, his keychain or something like that. But the whole body? Why? What would they do with it? Why? Why not just leave it there with the other 2 bodies in the other vehicles? Anyway, so Brandon Rollins is not dead at this point. He still finds the strength and energy to call his dad and, tell him that he needs help and give him the directions to where he's at. So his dad is asleep in bed in his home and he gets this frantic call from his son. So he takes off in his vehicle and he rushes, he hauls ass to, see about his son. What parent would not do that? When he gets there, he's looking for his phone and realizes that he forgot it. In the panic of my son's in trouble, I need to get to him. The man forgot his phone. So, I mean, I wouldn't be thinking rationally at this point either. It's my child. So when he's there, I don't think he thinks to look for another phone to call 911. He just, in his head, he's like, I need help, I need help. So he gets back in his car and he drives 10 minutes away to call, to go to a gas station, find a phone, and call 911. Now, the girl at the daughter of the man who's at the gas station takes off and she goes to the location where the men were killed. When authorities get there, I guess, I don't know if she was there as a looky-loo or what the point was with that. It was mentioned. So when authorities get there, they find that all three men have now passed. Brandon Rollins has died. And they start investigating. One thing that was pointed out by the sheriff was that there's only 2 cases in this county that have not been solved. Every murder case has been solved because the detectives that work the cases look at the victims as if they were family. If this was your son, if this was your brother, your nephew, your cousin, your father, how would you treat this case? So these detectives really work diligently 24 hours to find the answers to solve these murders. So in this county, only 2 murders have gone unsolved. And it was pointed out that the only reason they have been unsolved is because the friends, relatives, or what have you that have been asked by detectives to, answer some questions or give information have refused. So anyway, so these detectives are working diligently 24 hours to solve this case. They ask Mary and Robert to come in and give interviews. Mary, first of all, they're both very inclined to lying to protect TJ. I don't care who the hell you are. You killed 3 people cold blood. I'm not defending you. I am not going to prison for you. You are done, because I'm not, ending up in prison because of your dumbass. But in this case, Mary and Robert are willing to lie to protect TJ. They can't keep their story straight. They keep changing what they're saying to detectives. So authorities put out their press release. The sheriff's department puts out their press release, and the calls just start pouring in. They flood the call center. So they have to bring in more people to answer these calls and, take the tips and whatnot. But they're coming from all over the country. Everyone wants to help. They're trying to get more information than the information that was given at the press release. They're trying to piece this crime together. There are people that identify themselves as psychics and they're giving their psychic readings. It's just ridiculous. Please, if you're one of these people that calls the tip lines telling them that you're a psychic, just stop. It's ridiculous. Because just like you, there's hundreds of other people calling to tell the same bullshit. This just gets on my nerves. I've seen this a lot. If you ever join any of those Facebook groups that follow these crimes, or you watch these YouTubers that put out these crimes on their channel, and I was very hesitant about doing that about this story because there's so many people talking about this story. I just hate their psychic readings and tarot card reading and all this. don't do that. Don't be that person that, you know. And not only do they call the tip lines, they get information on the families and they harass them. I've seen it time and time again, and that just irks me to my core. Don't do that. Don't. Just leave their families alone. Don't call the tip lines trying to give your psychic readings, please. That's way over the top, and you are full of bullshit. Just don't do it. That's my disclaimer. Don't do it. Anyway, so the tip line, the call center is flooded with calls, but a lot of the calls that are coming in locally from Frostproof is a lot of people saying, hey, you need to look into Tony Wiggins. TJ Wiggins is a bad guy. He has a long rap sheet, and in a town or in a county where, that's the crime rate is really, really, really low, this person just stands out, and he looks the part. He looks like someone who belongs in prison. You seen that picture? I saw that picture. I was like, holy shit. That guy, just based on the mean fucking look he has going on, he needs to be in prison. I don't care what he's done in the past. His look, if I would have seen him down the street, would be like, yeah, murderer. And apparently he is. So there's that. But, yeah, they keep telling authorities, hey, you need to look into this guy. So they do. And, well, now you know he is involved. So let's hear the charges. Tony Wiggins is... okay. Charges for Tony Wiggins. First-degree murder, which is a capital felony, is 3 counts of tampering with evidence, 2 counts of possession of a firearm. Oh, because when they looked into these people, they found that they were living down a dirt road in the middle of the woods in a compound, a family compound, living off the grid, meaning no running water, no electricity. They are, using generators. I mean, they look the part, they live the part, So, never trust anybody who lives off the grid and looks like a fucking murderer, because they probably are. That's what I gather from that. And yes, I do know of a lot of people who live off the grid and are not murderers. But if you look the part and you have 230 felonies on your record, then you probably are. And this is probably not his first murder either, because he didn't hesitate. Anyways, so he has two charges of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, which, as a felon, you're not supposed to have firearms. When they raided his trailer, they found a 9mm casing, which they had examined that same night. They found it. They took it down to the lab, they examined it, and they determined that shell casing and the shell casings from the crime scene matched. They were both fired from the same Smith & Wesson firearm. Also, when police spoke to Mary, she said that she had gone to buy... I'm sorry, not the shell casings, the bullets. And authorities also have video of her doing that. So they charged Tony Wiggins with 2 felony counts of possession of ammunition by a convicted felon, because he also shouldn't have ammunition. Robert Wiggins was charged with 3 counts of tampering with evidence and 1 felony count of accessory after the fact of a capital felony. So, because he helped his brother move Damien's body, throw it in the back of the pickup truck like he was a sack of potatoes, and they drove off and disposed of his body elsewhere, he has a 1 count charge, for that, accessory after the fact of a capital felony. And Mary Whitmore, who did not want to give the correct spelling of her last name. Well, it's not spelled as you would think. It is spelled Whittemore, Whitmore. So she has 1 count felony charge, which is accessory after the fact of capital. She has 1 charge of accessory after the fact of a capital felony. She was also in the pickup truck when they removed the body. That's what that is. They have they're appearing in court tomorrow, which might be today, depending on how much time I have left before I can post this. So their hearing is at 1 p.m. on Thursday, June 23rd. So right now it is still June 22nd. It's 9:55 p.m. So, God, I don't know how much time I'm going to have to post this, but hopefully I'll post it before that. And then I can catch up. So that is today's story. I hesitated on this story only because everybody else was doing something on this story, but then I figured, hey, my opinions, my point of views are completely different from everybody else's, and so is my commentary. So, hopefully you like my content and what I have to say, my opinions, my personality. If you like my personality, you like my videos, you like my content, please seriously consider subscribing to my channel and turning on your notifications. I would really appreciate it.